back, everybody. I'm super excited to have on Jason Geiman. He is from pressurewasherhelp.com. You may recall Jason was on a previous podcast. We talked about landscape light. I'm not landscape lighting. I'm sorry, Christmas lighting. And Jason is here to talk about pressure washing and how you can actually add this to your landscape services if you're not already doing so. Welcome, Jason. Thanks for being on here.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Oh, it's always great to talk to you, and I appreciate you, taking a few minutes out of your day to hop in here. But like I said, I know a lot of landscapers do pressure washing, or maybe, or even perhaps considering doing pressure washing. Um, but there's so many more add-ons. Like I was talking a little bit before we started recording, we would pressure wash brick pavers and then offer them resealing and sanding of them, but and maybe I'd add on like a deck or something. But we never considered like adding more things like pressure washing a house or the siding or roof or whatever. Like that's a pretty simple add-on you could do. Is that right?
That's correct. It is a great add-on for a landscaping company. I have taught several landscape companies. Actually, I got one that's a local guy to me that I taught him. He was a full-time landscaper, and he actually went to full-time pressure washing. And just because that there is a lot of profit in the pressure washing business, and a lot of times, what I see with landscapers sometimes is they don't always know how to charge correctly, stuff like that. And so, we are charging, $300 just to wash the house, sanding and sealing the pavers and stuff like that's another great add-on service that we even added on for pressure washing. And, we're charging $1.50 to $2 a square foot to clean and sand and seal. And so it is a great way to use as an add-on. So that way we're getting our average ticket up, we're getting up our average, whatever our customer cost, how much the customer is giving us and stuff like that at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I know too. In our Facebook group, we see people asking, what kind of things could they add to their services already. And I think this is a great example, especially if you're just kind of getting started in landscaping. You don't have a whole lot of work lined up yet. This is a great add-on you could do, and I don't know, like at least in our area, there's not a whole lot of companies doing it.
Yeah, it is a great add-on. There is some competition out there, obviously, but the biggest thing is just, adding, try to find that niche of what you can do. House washing, is a great add-on. It is a great upsell. It's a way to get, us busy. Our normal house wash is only taking us, an hour once you start getting good and you have the right equipment. So, we're making 300 plus an hour is our goal. That's my goal as a pressure washing company. Even the company that I own was $300 an hour is what I'm shooting for per truck hour. Is so, when we're making that kind of money, that definitely helps us want to add on more stuff and to make sure that we are able to keep it cleaning. And you don't need, I know we'll talk about it a little bit later, but you don't need all this equipment to really be a pressure washing company either. We can use, obviously we use chemicals, so that way, the term pressure washing is kind of not really what we are at the end of the day. We're not using pressure to clean these houses. We're not using pressure to clean these decks. So, we're using certain chemicals so that way it makes the process a lot easier to actually clean the house. And by us doing this with the processes of using chemicals and stuff, we're actually cleaning it better. It would be like basically a landscaper going out spray painting the grass green versus putting the right nutrients in it and everything to make it naturally do it on its own.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I guess as you mentioned equipment, what kind of equipment is needed for the landscaper? I mean, just a simple pressure washer? They have to go buy a whole trailer setup? What are you talking here?
No, so for just the simple house, so for just there's two different kind of setups. We have the pressure washer setup that's called downstreaming, that we can put the chemical downstream of the pump. And then there's soft washing, as in the fact of, it has its own dedicated pump. It's not even a pressure washer, and it's just basically moving chemical from point A to point B. It's no different than a lawn care sprayer on the back of a truck. It's doing the exact same thing at the end of the day. It's just different chemicals is all we're using. So if you can use a small pressure washer. You want at least a 4 gallon or minute pressure washer. We really don't. Pressure is not the key factor. You can see some of these pressure washers that have 4,000 psi, and
Mhm.
all that's going to do is damage stuff, and we're going to make things a lot worse than what it is. So the way we can do it is if we can put a downstream injector on our pressure washer, and at this point it lowers our pressure down to about less than 100 psi. And so when we're cleaning these houses and stuff, we're cleaning them less than 100 psi. Now on decks, it's a little bit different. We're going to bump up the pressure a little bit, but even on decks, we're not going to get no more than 800 psi on wood, because if we get more than 800 psi on wood, we're going to start splintering it, we're going to start damaging it, and we're going to start fuzzing it, and that's not our goal, is to have a big fuzzy deck. So we want to make sure that we're using the right pressures, that we're using the right chemicals, we're using the right solutions, so that way we can get our speed up. Back in the old days of just literally pressure washing a house would take you 4, 5, 8 hours all day, where we can come in, clean this house, get it cleaner than what you would with a pressure washer, because we're using soaps and stuff like that, and we can get done in an hour. And if you're just starting out, it might take you 2 hours. But the reason why we use soaps is, when we take a bath, we don't get in there and just, turn the pressure all the way up and get us clean that way. If you've ever had grease on your hands, pressure doesn't get the grease off your hands. We got to put soap on there to get the soap to release the molecules, so that way we can get it cleaner and everything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, uh, do they have to have like ladders and stuff to climb up, or is everything kind of reach from the ground for the most part? Or
So with the pressure washing, with the soft wash system, that type that I'm using, either whether we're downstreaming or we're using a dedicated pump, we can clean every house from the ground. We can shoot up about 30, 40 feet from the ground, so there's no ladders. We don't need any ladders like that. Now, if we're doing roof cleaning, that's a whole different thing. But with house washing, with a pressure washer and a downstream injector, we can do everything from concrete cleaning to deck cleaning to house washing. And so basically that gets us all our basic needs other than roof cleaning. And then the only other thing other than a pressure washer is it is nice to have longer hose than just 50 feet, because if we have 200, 150, 200 feet, we can leave the pressure washer on the trailer and then just pressure wash the house at that point, just pulling it around, and then putting on our soap and then rinsing our soap off. And we
yeah,
do that through, like I say, the downstreamer, and then there's a thing called a J rod. That's basically the nozzle we put into the guns that open up the whole of the so it don't that's what lowers our pressure to 80 psi, 80 to 100 psi when we're cleaning the house. And then the only other thing we would need is a surface cleaner at that point.
sure. Yeah, I never realized that because I've always just taken the pressure washer and blasted away. I've actually screwed up not screwed up, but I've taken paint off a person's house on kind of accident with a pressure washer. I was pressure washing the thing and it swiped up. Whoops.
Well, and there's some other things on that house too that is a little bit different than what you don't really normalize either. Is one of the things is on houses there's it can be called oxidation. So when you wipe your hand on the house, you're going to get a white chalky feeling stuff on your hand, and that's called oxidation. And if we're not removing that oxidation, because there's no really good way to remove all that oxidation and being even. So sometimes if you see somebody that pressure washed a house, you'll see every wand mark they've done because they've knocked that oxidation off, but they didn't knock it all off evenly. So we're actually leaving the oxidation there. We're removing all the mold, dirt, and grime off the house, and then and that can be the happening. If we don't do that, then we're going to remove the oxidation. It's going to look like crap, and there's a whole nother process we got to use to get all that oxidation off.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So when they're using these type of chemicals and stuff, is there any like anything we'd be concerned with as far as plants or any living objects around there?
Yes, there is. We use sodium hypochlorite. Another word is pool shock. The brand name is bleach. So it can kill stuff at the wrong dilutions, but that's like anything, If even with lawn care, you're putting chemicals on the grass that if you put the wrong chemical mix, you're going to kill stuff, right?
Mhm.
So we're doing the same thing. So we're using a with the downstreamer, we're using only about a 0.5 to 1.5 percentage. So we're not using a very strong in that situation. Obviously, if we're doing roof cleaning stuff like that, it's going to get into a much higher solution in the ratio. And that's where we really got to make sure that we're watering everything down. We're making sure that everything is getting overwatered pretty much. And so I've only had one issue of killing something with the downstream injector using that model, that way of doing it. And that was on a year that was like it was 103 that day. It was in August, and I was spraying this house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't honestly know if the sodium hypochlorite killed it or if just the water killed all our flowers, but I killed them all. So
Yeah,
there is some things you got to be careful with.
sure. Is there any other concerns like landscapers need to be concerned about doing this type of stuff or
The biggest thing is just remembering you are dealing with high pressure. A lot of people don't understand that, stuff penetrating your skin, water embolism getting in there. This stuff is serious. Even people using the red tip, stuff like that. That's, we tell people to throw that stuff away. But, because even the high pressure, even when you open that gun first up, they can have 3 to 4,000 PSI in that first initial go, and so that can be very dangerous. And a lot of people just don't realize that. I've gotten hit by. I had one of my employees at the time had the wide fan on, and he basically just went down his arm and it just peeled the skin right off of him. And so we have to be careful with the high pressure. The chemicals. We are using chemicals. We don't want to drink it, obviously. If they get on us, we want to get them off of us. So there's certain PPE stuff that we want to wear to make sure that we're staying safe when we're cleaning these houses.
gotcha. Now, is this something that is pretty simple to teach your team and people that are doing this type of thing?
Yeah, so I've taught many 18, 19, 20 year olds how to clean. They ran their own trucks. They were doing 250 a year, and that's $250,000 a year on a truck to make about off of 18 to 20 year olds, 25 year olds, no problem. About 2 3 weeks worth of a little bit of oversight, just because when you're younger you don't always pay attention to what you need to do, and a lot of it is just making sure that you get a system down and follow that system. And that's something that I try and have been, teaching more and more of, is get it into a system so that way we can follow it. And a lot of my system that I teach isn't just how to wash the house, but it's the steps to make sure that we're taping up the outlets, we're making sure we're at the right house, we're doing marketing. Marketing is huge, and a lot of times when we're doing these houses, people think, "Oh, I got to get this dirty house clean," and that's just part of the job. The other part of our job is making sure we get the next job and the next
Yeah.
job and the next job. And so, maybe we're doing Facebook Live, maybe we're getting our before pictures, so that way, you know, I'm sure it's the same in landscaping. People want to try to get you on something that you didn't do, or they said you broke it and you didn't break it. And so, we're getting our before pictures, getting our after pictures, so that way we're making sure that we're looking over the house. Are all the windows closed? Are all the doors closed? And a lot of that is the covers. Is there holes in the siding? Is the landscaping been killed by salt spreader, instead of now they're going to try to blame us? So these are some things that we really want to make sure of, so that way we don't have to use our landscaping skills to fix what we screwed up.
That makes sense. I didn't think about the windows being open until you said it. I'm like, that's a that's a big one that ruined somebody's day.
Yep, it sure will.
Nice. No, like we teach systems too, and it's so important in everything we do. No matter whether you're pressure washing, landscaping, whatever it is, you have to have some kind of system in place. So that's
Yep.
awesome. You're teaching that, yeah. So, kind of back to the equipment a little bit. what do you say is like the initial cost for somebody? I know it kind of varies in what they're doing, but roundabout.
Some of it's gonna most of it's gonna vary on, your budget, how much you have the budget. There is pre-made systems out there that you can spend 10, $20,000. You can go and, if you just doing just a pressure washer and on the cheaper side, you can do it for, I mean, you can get into it for less than $1,000. Now you're not going to be as fast, and it's going to be not, there's definitely nicer things out there that you can do to make things even better. But really, your cost is going to be. I always tell people my biggest cost I want it is be marketing. I don't want to buy a bunch of equipment because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what business you're in. If you have the biggest, nicest equipment, that's not what's going to get you the jobs and get you more jobs. So the goal is to be profitable and be successful, so that way we can keep getting more jobs, and to grow our business.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So if we want to kind of get started and we want to learn a little bit more about this, you actually offer a training program on this, right?
I do. I do. I have my program at pressurewashhelp.com/$1,000,000. If you go there, you'll get 7 days free.
Okay.
And so you can go and check it out. And in there, I teach a 25-step house wash of the 25 steps to do a house wash. I teach, it goes for everywhere from, pulling up, where to park at, everything along the lines. And I go very in depth in it because I want to make sure that you understand it and it's clear. And then, that's something that it is a membership. So that way, as the community grows, it is something that if you have questions, I'm always in there answering questions. And I make sure that you're able to understand it not only teaches you how to do the pressure washing, but there's also safety in there. And then I go through all the marketing stuff you need to do, how to do your Google My Business, how to do everything, and of how to get marketing. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you're not familiar with Jason too, he is a rock star on YouTube. He's like, I don't even know how many videos he's got. He's got tons of videos on there. And so if you're just even considering this, I definitely recommend heading over to YouTube and start at least checking it out, learn a little bit more about it. Jason, you do a live Q&A too, like every Sunday, right?
I do. I got over 600 videos on there on pressurewashhelp.com/YouTube. And on there, you'll find I do two live Q&As every Thursday and every Sunday night. Sunday night, usually I bring somebody on. So Thursday night is the night that is usually my Q&A, and I talk about marketing. And then I also do 2 videos a week of just different things. And yeah, everything that you need to know is on my YouTube channel. It's just scattered. It's just scattered out, but there's a lot of information on there that you can learn on the YouTube for sure.
Yeah. Do you think this is a good add-on for landscapers? Like something they should definitely check
I th-
out at least?
I think it's definitely a good add-on just because, if you're a great landscaper and they love you for that, you can do some other things for them. And I know we don't want to always be a jack of all trades, but we can niche down into to a couple things and really be good at those two things. And house washing does go along with landscaping. It is one of those things that it is very good. And the biggest thing with pressure washing is there's a pretty large market of profit in there, where a lot of times you don't see that in other businesses.
Yeah. Do you have any tips on people that want to, are getting into this and thinking about it on like pricing, like what they should be kind of doing with that? Or
So pricing is one of those things. It's a little bit tough to do pricing of, some people want to be like, well, how about 10 cents per square foot, 20 cents per square foot? And that can be a start, but obviously 1,000 square foot house, I'm not doing for $200. So, our goal is $300. Our minimum is $300 house wash, $279 for a house wash. So then we're going to go up from there. And so that is kind of where we set our goals and we go up from there. Concrete cleaning, we're clean. That is something that, we're charging 20 to 30 cents a square foot to clean concrete. And so it is something, decks, I hate cleaning decks. So we're $1, 50 a square foot for a deck. So then there's just some ideas of where you can be at for deck cleaning and house washing. The biggest thing is that on the side of house washing and the pressure washing business, it is a very profitable business. There is a lot of profit in it. So it is very good. So I've actually had quite a few. I got one landscaper right now. He's like, I'm trying to get out of landscaping and go to pressure washing, but I'm still 3 days a week landscaping. So there is money in it. The biggest thing, the difference is obviously you don't have that reoccurring money every week with a landscaper versus a pressure washing that you're happen to find a new customer. Once you're only cleaning their house every other year or every year if you're in the South.
Yeah. No, I know this has come up in the questions quite a bit in the Facebook group before about. Do you have any tips on getting grease and oil out of driveways? Is there anything they can do for that?
So the problem with that is that's a great idea. That's a great question because a lot of times this is what I preach a lot of times, and I understand, and there's a reason why I preach this is don't park in people's driveways. Unless you absolutely have to, unless you're getting ran over by cars and the interstate, the road's really busy. But don't ever park in driveways. Because when you park in a driveway, your truck leaks oil, your mower leaks oil. Um, Concrete is like a huge sponge. And so when I say that, the oil is going way down into the concrete. So we might be able to get the oil up, but the stain is really hard to get up, even as a professional pressure washer. I will never guarantee that we will get 100% oil up. I've tried different systems, different things. So there is a couple things that can help to get oil up. Obviously, if we use hot water will help pull that oil up and help knock it out of there. And then the other thing is some good degreasers. Getting into the higher again with pressure washing, we're dealing with back when we go back to high school of the pH scale, and so we need a good degreaser that's a base of about a 14 that's really high, so that way it's going to really pull that oil and get it to come up. It's not going to be guaranteed that it's going to all come up. So that's, like I say, I never guarantee. I used to do several for dealerships that, they forgot to put the plug in or the plug fell out. They had this oil, and 9 times out of 10, I was able to get it up good enough for the customer and happy for the customer. But there was the one time that Karen wasn't happy with it, and so she got a new driveway out of her thing, and so the dealership ended up spending like $25,000-$30,000 for a new driveway.
Yeah, yeah. We actually had one of our members. Same thing. I think, some like piece of equipment blew his hydraulic line. It leaked in there. He tried pressure washing. He hired somebody to pressure wash it, and they ended up having to replace a whole section of the driveway. And I think he's still battling with it because it cost some money.
It's a no go, and that's the thing too. You blow a hose and you think you're better off to pull on the driveway, and that's the last place you want to do. You're better off to stay in the grass because it's cheaper to fix grass than it is to fix the driveway.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've done it ourselves. Like we pulled down a whole long driveway, and I had to freaking pressure wash this. I don't know, probably 100-foot concrete driveway. It was terrible. But luckily, they were pretty cool with everything. But
And
yeah,
most people will be cool, but you always got that one person that not so cool.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, there's the Karens out there, like you said. So, do you have any suggestions on anybody that wants to get going, what they need to do, and how to kind of go from there?
Obviously, you can go check out pressurewashhelp.com/$1,000,000 and you'll get 7 days free. The other thing is go check out my YouTube channel. I've got a lot on my YouTube channel. And then I actually have two websites. So King of Pressure Wash that's where everything he sits, but Pressure Wash Help is where I got all my links to. But kingofpressurewash.com/podcast. I put out a podcast once a week also. And so if you're into the listening side of things, that's a great place that I give a lot of marketing tips. I have a lot of experts on different things. And so that's a good place to be able to hear, different things of how to grow your business.
Yeah. Is this something that, as far as the marketing portion, now you mentioned it, should they, if they're interested in doing this, they're going to start doing this. How should they go about doing to reach out to their customers? Start just sending messages out, emails, calling them up, and let them know. Or
Yeah, if you have a past customer base, it's a great way to add on hit an email blast out, hit a text blast out. You can do the ringless voicemails out, and that's a great way to be able to get started. Obviously, the other ways, not really trying to get your past customers, but new customers, is Google My Business. If you haven't fill out your Google My Business, that's probably the biggest thing you can do to help you start growing your business, whether that's landscaping or pressure washing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's a lot of people that don't really have that or don't really. I don't know if they just don't know about it or what. I
And if you
just
don't know what Google My Business is, it's basically when you're searching for landscaping, pressure washing, you'll have your first three or four will be your ads on the search, and then you have the Google Maps. And under the Google Maps, that's all through Google My Business. So that's where you want to put, your hunter pictures. You want to put, you're trying to get 5-star reviews, even as landscapers, you're still trying to get 5-star reviews and all of that kind of stuff.
yeah. No. Well, Jason, anything you want to add today?
I think that's good.
All right. Well, Jason, I appreciate you hopping in here, and I encourage everybody. This is a very simple add-on you guys can do to your landscape business, or you can start a whole nother thing, another business doing this type of thing. So I encourage you to go check out Jason on YouTube, his podcast, his training program's awesome. It's very simple. It's very nicely laid out, so you guys can follow through and set yourself up for success. I can't say it today. Can't say it today. Can't talk. Set yourself up for success here. There we go. Got it out. But no, it's a great program. I encourage you to check it out. But it's a simple thing you can do to your business and help your customers out even that much more. So no, thanks, Jason. I appreciate you hopping in here today, and we'll be chatting with you sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott.